Hi, I'm Z. Come wine with me, Whine. Today I'm going to whine about and give my review and commentary about the Love is Blind Season 2 cast and couples so far. Uh, we are at, well, I have watched episodes 1 through 4 so far in Season 2. So let's get into it. For those of you who might not be familiar with Love is Blind, this is a dating series or dating show where the cast members do not get to see one another before making some type of commitment. And typically that commitment is asking for marriage from this person that they've been communicating with through a wall. So in the first season, there were out of 6 couples that wound up pairing, there were 2 that came out and who are still married to this as of now, as of this February 14th, as of this Valentine's Day. This season, we have 6 couples that decide to get married. And so I'm just going to kind of go through the 6 couples and give you my take on them and my ideas and my thoughts. So let's start. Now, when we are introduced to when we're first introduced to, I'm going to start with the couple Shake and Deepti. Shake and Deep for short. Shake came off to me as very, honestly, he's one of, I mean, a lot of these reality series, they tend to attract certain types of people who desire to be in the entertainment industry, right? People who want some type of attention or to use the show as perhaps marketing to grow their social media platforms or to, advertise their some type of business or to show their acting chops, right? Shake is the guy in this couple, and Deepti, Deep for short. She's the woman in this couple. Shake comes off as being incredibly superficial, and in a way that is almost cartoonish. Like he would make comments about in these pods where you're having pretty much dates in these pods with a wall between you where you can't see the other person, and so there would be multiple people going in and out of these pods and that you would be having these dates with, and in almost every frame in every date he would like make some comment about looks, and he talked about his ideal type, like a petite blonde. And he said his litmus was basically whether or not she can fit on my shoulders at a festival or something like that, something silly like that. It was just his focus on looks was just so cartoonishly like ridiculous that I was like, this guy has to be an actor. Like he has to be an actor. Like this can't be real. This people like this, like, do they really exist? Come on, this is ridiculous. Spare us. But someone winds up making a connection with him and is able to see through his facade and gets him to kind of put down some walls and show that and reveal that he had weight issues growing up, and he has this grand revelation about himself, which also kind of struck me as being part of his acting and part of his plot line, where he has this grand reveal that he had weight issues growing up, and so that might be why he focuses so much on looks, and was asking inappropriate questions during the dates. And DT also winds up revealing that she had weight issues. She had dropped like 80 pounds, something like that. And so it seems to be something that they both actually have in common, in addition to both being of, I think, Indian or some type of South Asian descent, whereas both had previously not ever dated anyone of their own ethnicity. They've only had dated like Caucasians. They seem pretty like excited to like find connection in someone who actually share their ethnic background. So there are a couple that pairs up. Another couple is Danielle and Nick. Danielle and Nick, they were the first couple to pair up. Actually, they wind up being the first couple to pair up. I didn't really see, and I don't feel like the series showed too much of their getting to know you like sessions, their date sessions. So I didn't really get like too much from them, to be honest. But whatever, they saw it, they saw something in one another and decided, hey, let's do this. So then we have the couple Natalie and Shane. Now Natalie, oh sorry, no, that's correct, Natalie and Shane. Natalie and Shane. So Natalie was kind of in a soft love triangle where she had shown a tremendous amount of interest in Shane, and Shane was also showing a tremendous amount of interest in another cast member, Shayna. Now Natalie and Shane, they wind up pairing off, but in the first couple of episodes, we see that the connection between Natalie and Shane, as well as Shayna and Shane, double S, Shayna and Shane, they had strong connections. Shayna and Shane had strong connections, and Shayna actually looked like, or seemed like, I thought that they were setting it up for Shayna to kind of be like a snake in the grass, and try to because these areas are segregated by boys and by males and females, like they're segregated, and so they can all talk amongst one another. The men can talk amongst the men, the women can talk amongst the women. And so Natalie had expressed to the other ladies her interest in Shane, and so Shayna, she was like taking in this information, and I felt like she was taking it in as a way to kind of manipulate the situation, if that makes sense. It's like I'm taking in this information to gauge how I'm going to use it against you. That's what I got from it. But it wound up not really working because Shane went with Shayna. Excuse me, Shane wound up proposing to Natalie. So then we have the couple Kyle and Shayna. Remember, Shayna is part of this soft love triangle. Now, the reason I call it a soft love triangle is because when Natalie had come back and stated that Shane had asked her to be his girlfriend, this is before the formal proposal was made. Shayna kind of checked out, rightfully so, to be honest. She kind of checked out, but then she did something really strange. So again, Shayna is paired with Kyle. Kyle wound up asking Shayna, proposing to Shayna and asking her to marry him. He came armed with his mama's, engagement ring and everything, like he came into the process with his mama's engagement ring. Now, Shayna is another character that came off to me as being like potential actress or something like that, because she seemed really over the top as well. She seemed like a kind of stereotypical, stereotypical blonde. And listen, I'm smart enough to know that just because you're blonde, you're not stupid, right? Like, I know she came off as one of those sorority girls, basically, and who wants to like one up other women and like really cares about her appearance. Nothing wrong with that part. But she just came off as kind of shallow. That's that's what I want to get across. She came off as kind of shallow. She had concerns about accepting because Kyle is atheist and she is Christian. It's always the folks who claim to be religious who are, the sorority types. And we'll just say that, right? Living the sorority life. Mm-hmm. That's the impression that I get from Miss Shayna. I could be wrong, and I fully recognize that, but that is the impression that Miss Shayna gives off to me, to moi. So, despite her reluctance, she accepts Kyle's proposal, and what gets a little wonky here is she goes back to Shane after having accepted Kyle's proposal, and lets Shane know that she really did have feelings for him. She was, holding back because her pride got in the way, because she felt, a type of way because he seemed to have placed Natalie at the fore and, prioritized Natalie and his connection with Natalie. And so she backed off. But she regrets doing that and wants him to know that where her feelings really are. And Shane, and so at that point, I was like, ooh, this is setting up for another messy situation. I honestly, I thought we might be looking at another Jessica Messica situation from the previous season 1. If you've watched this series, you'll know what I'm referring to. If you haven't, it was a situation where, similar in that there was a connection made with more than one person. In fact, one of the people who's currently married today from the first season, Matt Barnett, he wound up marrying Amber Pike, but Jessica was one of the other ladies that he had a strong connection with, and she wound up pairing with someone. And yeah, I'm not even gonna mention the person's name because it didn't matter to her, at least, it didn't even matter to her, because she, after having accepted a proposal from another man, still went after Mark. And so I thought that in season 2, Shayna would pretty much was setting herself up to be another Jessica Messica. But who knows? If we're with Kyle and Shayna, Kyle and Shayna are, in my opinion, clearly a mismatch in that he is atheist and she is Christian. And I've already given my impressions of Shayna. But with Kyle, he said something that set off an alarm. And he basically said to Shayna, he told her that she reminds him of his mom. And I guess his mom was very religious and, very adamant about her religiosity or whatever. And it says, if he's... let me know how you all feel. I don't necessarily think it always has to be a bad thing to say that there is a trait or quality that someone has that might remind you of a parent. That's certain types of familiarity I don't think are necessarily automatically harmful or bad or anything like that. But it did set off alarm bells to me when he said that, because when you were talking about such a foundational principle as religion, personally, in my opinion, I feel like that's a deal breaker. I feel like that is a deal breaker, and especially if you have strongly held beliefs. If he is a diehard atheist and she's fundamentalist Christian, at least in her thinking, even if not actions, she when it comes to bringing children into the world, is there going to be friction, with that? It just really seemed weird to me that he would want to. That would be the thing that reminds him of his parent that he thinks he could continue with in a romantic relationship and have a successful romantic match. I don't know if I explained that well, but I'm just saying it doesn't make sense to me. I don't think that is a good idea. All I'm saying is it doesn't make sense to me. I don't think it's a good idea. And honestly, Shayna doesn't either, but she still agrees to marry the man. I don't know. Anyhow, so next couple. Oh, and also, so Shayna accepted his proposal without seeming particularly enthused, and then proceeded to confess her feelings for another man, Shane. Strange, but this is where we are. Mallory and Salvador. We have a harder love triangle here. If Shayna Shane and Natalie or soft love triangle. Mallory, Mallory, Ayanna, and Jarrett are a hard love triangle, a real love triangle. Okay, so with Mallory and Salvador, well, we'll say for Mallory, Mallory had a strong connection with both Jarrett and Salvador. Sal for short, and she winds up, um, and Jarrett proposes to Mallory, and Mallory declines the proposal, citing stronger feelings for one of the other contestants. Now, again, you have to remember these people are talking to one another. They've all dated one another to some degree, or gone on at least one date with one another at some point. So there are going to be situations where there might be more people, more than one person that you have a strong connection with. I want to mention, so Jared's proposal to Mallory, it was, I'm going to say what I appreciated. I really appreciated that he had this meal for her. So even though you don't meet the person directly and you're talking, with them through a wall, some contestants, they might, or cast members, contestants, however you want to, daters, they might leave a little present, or have, production set a present in the pod for their next date. And so the present that Jared left for Mallory was like a Mexican meal. I think it was like tacos, which is like her favorite meal or something like that. And I thought that was really cute. What I had a little bit of an issue with, and you can let me know whether this is a big deal or not. It's just something that I found a little unsettling, only because I guess I personally like direct communication, and I feel like indirect communication, particularly in matters of the heart, leaves a lot of wiggle room. And so he asked her, what would you say if I was to propose to you, or if I was to ask you to marry me? And she winds up saying no, citing stronger feelings for someone else. But the thing is, I personally, do we count that as a proposal? I mean, does that count as an actual proposal? I don't know. I feel like, what would you say if? It's kind of like conditional. It's not like, I would like to propose to you, will you marry me? It's like testing the waters and then putting it on the other person to assume that it's an actual proposal. I don't know. I'm not saying whether it's wrong or right. It's more like, I'm not saying whether it's wrong or right. It's more of an issue of, I don't know how to feel about it. That was my initial, this is what I'm whining about. Okay, this is what I'm whining about. I just don't. It doesn't come off as being an actual proposal to me. It comes off as a little wishy-washy. It comes off as scared. It comes off as not really doing the work. But let me know what you think. I didn't really see that as being an actual proposal, although I recognize that, it's taken that way, and he's presenting it as that, in the sense that, like, that's what he thinks it is, and that's what she receives it as. So I guess his job was done there. But I just felt like the conditional, if, what would you say if? It was kind of a wishy-washy proposal. I personally felt like if someone hit me with that, I would be like, I'm not even going to bother with it if it's not on the table. Is it if, or are you proposing? That's not how I would want to be proposed to. Like I said, I thought the gift was very thoughtful, and I liked that part of him, having her favorite dish there. But I thought what would you kind of say if how would you, is that a proposal or not? Let me know what you think. Anyhow, but moving on. So Jared, this is our last couple, Jared and Ayanna. Yes, the same Jared that proposed to Mallory. So Jared and Ayanna. What I really liked is that Jared was honest with Ayanna. He told her what happened with Mallory. He was very upfront and honest about that, which I really respect. I think in the process they're in, there is a reasonable. It should be reasonable for people to understand that there might be connections made with more than one person. However, I don't know how I would take an actual, since he's presenting it as if he proposed to Mallory, that was his intent, despite whether I feel it is an actual proposal. That was the intent, and that's how it was received, so it was a successful proposal. I don't know if I would feel comfortable accepting a proposal knowing that I was not the first choice, and the only reason that we're there and the ring is on the finger is because the other one said no. It just makes me uncomfortable, and I don't. Yeah, I don't know how to square that. I don't know whether or not it's not right or wrong. That's just how I feel. And that's another question I have for you guys. Like, what do you all think about it? I think the part that will make me uncomfortable is it's not just a matter of I'm dating another person I have a strong connection of. He was saying that I could see a future with that other person more than I can see a future with you. And if that's the case, regardless of whether or not I can understand that there's a connection with more than one person, having a proposal, an actual proposal of marriage, that seems a little more serious. And it's always going to be a thing of, well, like, is he really satisfied with me? Is he really happy to be here? Or is it a situation where it's like, all right, well, I guess it's gonna be you, come on. Because something else I didn't mention about Jared is part of his story is that a year ago he was stabbed, and he pretty much almost lost his life. He woke up in a hospital room. He was there for a long time, and it really made him evaluate his life and the state of things and his mortality and all that stuff. And so, to me, it's like he just wants someone, and so anyway, I'm not gonna belabor the point. She said yes. He made it. He constantly reiterated that they were both pretty. He would go back and forth between his favor between the two ladies. And also, so I also personally think that what took Mallory, I got the sense that Mallory was his favorite because she is more financially stable. Because when they were dating in their little dating pods, he seemed to really perk up when she was talking about, she owns a multi-unit, property or whatever. He really seemed to perk up. He looked like he was like, oh, I'm about to hit a lick. Like he looked really excited about that. And I think honestly, that is something he really liked about Mallory. In addition to whatever other connection they had, I feel like him feeling like here's a person who could provide some stability for me. Because he, when asked what he does, he had like 4 things he was talking. It was like hustler, and she's like, oh, you're a hustler, huh? He's like, yeah, it's like that can sometimes be code for he ain't really got no job, it's like, it's like someone who does gigs on the side. I do a little hair, I'm a barber on Sundays, and I'll wash your car. I don't know, that I was getting the impression that Jared, he hustles for a living, not necessarily drugs, but just takes certain different gigs in order to make ends meet. And so whether that's true or not, I don't know. That is the impression I got. And so, yeah, that was my impression of why he went more with Mallory as opposed to Ayanna, in terms of his in terms of his favor. As you can see, I'm easily distracted. Thank you for joining me, and until next time, bye.